Hello and welcome to the All Rookie Podcast. Today is June 16th, 2024, and I'm your host, William Harris, aka William is Bill. It's a very special episode for you guys. I got my main man, Lucky, back on the pod with me, the Vonzell Luckey, rookie draft extraordinaire. Finally back this year for this class. We had fun last year. How
Oh
you
yeah,
doing today, Lucky?
doing great, man. It's a good day, good night. Ready to get into it. We got a lot of good basketball on the way. So yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Tell everybody your Twitter so they can follow you after this episode.
On Twitter, I'm on X as the Vons THA_VONZ. Check me out on there. I'm doing a lot of basketball takes, life and growth takes, crypto takes. But yeah, come check me out.
Yep. All right, so today we're gonna get into Lucky's top 10 players in this class. You know, everybody seems to have a different ranking. A lot
Mhm.
of the commodities, ESPN, all those guys seem to have similar guys in the top 10. But for me, mine is completely different. Let's see how Lucky's is. You want to start from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
I'll go from 1 to 10.
Something
Yeah.
remind me of a ludicrous song. 1 to 10, 10 to 1. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think mine is pretty similar to what I've been seeing around everywhere, especially around the top five or six. It looks, when I was looking around at everyone else's, it looks very similar. This first guy is a guy that everyone's saying he has a brother that plays for OKC. It was like, yeah. I'm talking about Alexander Sarr. So so people think we're talking about like Cody Williams because Cody Williams has a brother Jalen Williams of OKC, but Alexander Sarr also has a brother with OKC. He's down there with their G League affiliate, Olivier Sarr. So he's a 6'10" guy. Alexander's a 7'1" guy, 19 years old, 224 pounds. Um, he's a NFL, I mean like a NBA like athlete. So if this was like another year, he's not someone I would be looking at as like a number one guy. If this was like a different year, but because he's 7'1" and he looks the part. He looks like a basketball player. It's not like a complete project that you're putting out there at 7'1". He looks like a 7'1" athletic basketball player. But the way that he's projected, he's going to have to shoot the ball. He's looking like a power forward right now, but his shot is coming along. He's averaging 19 points over there in France. He averaged 19 points, 9 rebounds. But yeah, he would be the first person I would throw out there, Alexander Sarr, because that just all the intangibles. You're 7'1" that reaches insane. You can put him up under the basket. He's going to be able to do some defense for you at the very least. So comparable to a who's the guy from Duke last year? He's playing very well with Dallas.
Lively.
Um, who?
Derek Lively.
Yes, yeah, comparable to Derek Lively. So if this was a different year, it's like I wouldn't be looking at a Derek Lively for a number one type of person. But like for this year, Alexander Sarr, he's going to go in the top three because of the talent in this draft.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I do think he's starting off at a good floor right now because he can shoot it decently. And
Decent.
as young as he is, 19, it's only going to get better. Definitely see him, and it's weird saying a 7'1" power forward, but that's kind of what he seems like. So
Yeah.
but the way the league is going, he could play center. It's a lot of smaller, skinnier centers taking over now. So the way the league is going, he could play center, but he will be interchangeable, and that he could play the Evan Mobley role as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All
So
right, let's go to number two.
number two, he's a guy. It's I've gone back and forth on this guy. I had him number one for a while. I took him out of my top five for a while, and right now it's like I'm putting him up here so high as at number two, because I do believe he's going to get drafted in the top five. It's Zachary Risachet. So early in the draft, when not in the draft, about 3 months ago or so, I started looking at this guy, and I'm like 6'9". He can shoot the ball from three. He can guard his position. He can guard down. Like his feet are good enough to where he can guard twos. He can guard threes and a little bit on the fours. So I'm like, okay, what am I looking at here in comparison? An American comparison is like a Keegan Murray, but the difference is the that alpha dog factor, that you really get from somebody like a Keegan Murray, and you'll see the difference in his brother. And I'll come to that those type of things later here. But you see the difference in the fact that you have similar skills, similar height, similar build, but the that intangible thing, that dog, that is just like I'm not going to be beaten type of thing that Keegan has. I didn't see that in Zachary Reese-Shea. So I'm like, am I going to be getting a Chris Murray type of person now? But because of that. But watching him through the end of his season in France, he turned it on. He's one of the youngest guys out there, but in clutch situations, he didn't back down to these older 20-year-old guys while he was playing defense. And that's really what I wanted to see is how are you going to defend, guys that are older than you coming into the NBA? Because the shooting, that's your number one skill is being a shooter. It's going to be on and it's going to be off. And just because you ain't hitting that three, I still need you to go out there and defend the best player on the other side of the court. Because as a small forward, that's what everybody is out here now. They're wings. So just because you're not hitting your shot, I need you to go out there and still defend. And he did that at a very, high level. So that's what kept him in my top 5 area. He's able to shoot. It didn't, like, for about 2 months, he was just brick city, man. Like he got bad for about 2 months, but he came back on. So it was like he has a good shot, he can defend, and he's a tall guy. So I have him as in my top 5, number 2 guy right now.
Okay. I just have to ask you now, you kind of said it. Is that because the pressure of the consensus, or do you really feel he's number 2?
It's both. Well, it's both. So when the consensus is like that, it's like you have to find someone in the say you're drafting number 2. I have to find someone that is a consensus top 5 pick, because if I pick someone that I feel is the second best player, but they're like the number 10 consensus or number 15 consensus, I'm fired within 1 year. Because you can't. It's like I can reach a little bit, but if I reach that far out of the zone, I'm fired. So it's like Reese-Shea, he's consensus top 5, and I feel within those guys and within my reach of top 5, that's somewhere I would go.
So you're looking at it from a GM's perspective.
For sure.
Okay. All right, let's go with number 3.
Number 3, Stefan Castle. This guy here, like it's wild for me to be such a big fan of him because he can't really shoot that well. As far as what we've seen in college last year, but he won the national championship as a freshman, him along with Donovan Clingan, and a great coach and a great system, that he was a part of. But when you watch him in high school and the things that he was able to do, and then you look at him in college, and something that I've changed a bit about how I evaluate guys from the previous years going into this year, I watch how they interview and see how they speak to people, and just a lot of the things off the court. And Stefan Castle, he's one of those guys where it's like, I would like to have him in my locker room. I like to have him as a leader of my team. He's a defensive guy that you put him at the 2, maybe put him at the 3, but he's a guy that if he's on your team, he is a difference maker. He's a dog. And I'm a huge fan of him. He's not the greatest shooter, but he is a difference maker. So I have him in my top 5 right now because of that.
Oh, I got to push back on you on that one. Now, have you been hearing the talk where, he played shooting guard at UConn, and now he's saying, I'm only interviewing with teams that are going to put me at the 1. So does that give you, hang-ups about that?
Yeah, so that's gone. So he put that out about a month. His agent put that out there about a month ago.
Okay.
Because he wants to play point guard, and then where the interviews at, because people didn't want him. They didn't want him as a point guard because everything that we've seen that whole year that you sacrificed, not wanting to, be you sacrifice. Well, that's your game tape. That's what we're going off of. So we can't go back and look at you from when your senior year in high school, your sophomore year in high school, and then we're like, okay, we're going to judge how you play in the NBA based off that. If he wants to be a point guard in the NBA, he needs to go back to UConn or go back to college, play point guard where he's a main ball handler, and then try to be evaluated off of that. But there was a lot of pushback off of what he said. Now I'm not judging him for that. It's just part of the tactics, it's things that you have to do to get where you want to go. But I think that anybody, regardless, I think someone will draft him like pretty early.
Yeah, it sounded like he's going to go real high. But when I evaluate him, like you said, he plays shooting guard. I evaluated him as a shooting guard, and he seemed like a good player. And he did take a step back to help the team win. But to me, he's my 16th ranked player. just off what I saw.
Like,
So, so if he's gonna tell me he's a point guard and he's just different type of player, I haven't seen that. So what am I supposed to go by?
I like 16. Like the only reason, like my pushback on that is that dog. Does he not seem like a difference maker on the floor to you?
Jordan Hawkins from the, he was last year with UConn. He went to the
Offensive gifts,
Pelicans. He had yeah,
offense.
yeah. He kind of reminded me of that type of player, not as good as a shooter, and he went around 14. But yeah, the
Mhm.
defense is much better.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm not as high on Castle as most. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be allowed to play the point guard. It depends on what team he goes to.
He's not. No,
No.
that's not.
All right, that was number 3. Let's see who you have. And say, look, you said you don't want to get fired. For me, I'm throwing it out there. If I see the number 30 guys, number 3 guy, that's who I put on it. So let's see who got number 4.
Number four. So because of the way that the NBA is set up now, and we're seeing it very heavily with the Celtics, it's a 3-point shooting league. And it's something that we talked about last year coming into the draft, like the players that were coming in, while Brandon Miller was drafted number 2, because he's a tall guy that can shoot the three. Now, this next guy that I'm coming in, he has half of those characteristics. He can
Don't you
shoot the
do
three.
it. Don't you do it, Lucky.
He can shoot the three. So for that very reason, the next guy is Reed Shepherd. Now, yeah, yeah. Now this is what I got to say about Reed Shepherd. So back in April, I had a knee operation, and my doctor, he was like, "Yeah, I went to school with at Kentucky with Reed Shepherd's father. He's a great athlete that was a basketball player there. His wife is also a basketball player that went to Kentucky, and they had Reed, and then he went to Kentucky, and then he talked about the work ethic and all the things that they did to prepare him, like from middle school and high school, and it's just constant, like it's ridiculous, like the things we talk about. But this is back in April. This is April the 25th, and it was like, well, yeah, there's no way the Hornets would be able to get a Reed Shepherd out of him. And then, sure enough, I'm sitting here watching, and I'm like, okay, you can shoot, but you're too small. Like nobody wants a Terry Rozier type person out here, a Kimball Walker, type of guy. We sit here at just 6'3", and then I watched the NCAA tournament, and he shrunk, and I think he scored like 3 points or 6 points. It was less than 10. It wasn't good, and he shot the ball like it was like 1 for 5. It was bad. I was disappointed in how many shots he attempted and how many shots he made in a game that it's either you win this or you go home. You got to do something about it. And I hated that performance so much. But then from that point all the way until now, it's like, I guess that the combine maybe is what is like maybe drawing people more towards him because of all the athletic things that he did at the combine. That's not what's doing it for me. Like, he's not about to go dunk on nobody because of his vertical or anything like that. What's doing it for me is I believe in that 3-point shot for real. I really believe in that 3-point shot. So you're going to have to be able to get him open. Because how are you going to shoot that 3-point shot when you're 6'3", barely, But when you're shooting the ball at 50% in college at the University of Kentucky, like, this is you're playing top level talent. So it's like we haven't seen that in years on years on years. I think I have to go look back and see the last time somebody did that. But yeah,
I think it
Shepherd,
said Glenn Rice was the last one over 50%.
there we go. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, and that ain't nothing to sneeze at,
Right.
with Glenn Rice. I'm not saying he's going to be that, but I'm saying when you can shoot the ball that efficiently, that well, that someone's going to take you very high. And because all the stuff I was talking about with the doctor and everything about how the work ethic he's going to put in, similarly to Stephon Castle, this guy's a dog. He's going to change your locker room. You're going to love having him in the press conferences. You're going to love having the camera in front of him talking to people. Like, he's going to change your locker room, change your organization. Reed Shepherd, top 5, most certainly.
Well, now, how do you see him fitting in the NBA? Like you said, is he going to be a point guard like Stephon Castle wants to be a point guard? Reed Shepherd, I've heard he wants to be a point guard. We haven't seen him play point guard at a high level.
No, he's
Shooting
not going
guard?
to be a point guard. No, so like, there's you may have the opportunity if you play for a team where the point guard is hurt, because in an NBA season, point everybody is going to go down for a bit of time. No one's really playing 82 games.
Right.
So at times, and even still, when you're on the court, it's so positionless that you're going to be operating as a point guard sometimes. But as far as him being someone's starting point guard, game after game, month after month, no, that's not happening. But I see him on the court with another point guard or with another ball handler or distributor, to where you can see someone like a Kyrie Irving and a Luka, working out ball handlers. You can see what's my guys with the Cavs? So the Cavaliers have two guards that dominate the
Garland
ball.
and Mitchell.
And Mitchell, yeah. So I see him as a off guard to where eventually he may be able to share, him and another guard, but I think when he comes in, he's probably going to be like a 6-man type of guy and work him in.
And see, that's why you're not gonna like my ranking on him. I got him ranked 24th.
There ain't no way. There ain't no way you think he's getting 24.
How many 6'2" shooting guards are in the league thriving?
6'2"? How tall is Van Vliet?
He's 6 foot, but he's a point guard.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's like they ain't many. They ain't many.
So I just, to me, he looks like Corey Kispert, but 4 inches smaller. So that's not a top 10 pick, in my opinion. I think he's going to have an uphill battle. I've seen some people saying he is Steph Curry 2.0. Do you think that is in his future? I mean, the 3-point shooter is there, but I'm not confident in anything else.
Steph Curry wouldn't be Steph Curry if you didn't make an entire system to fit what he does. You don't have like a 6'2", 6'3" guy come in. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can shoot those threes, but how are you going to get open to do it? At that height. You're not Kevin Durant, so how are you going to get open to do it? So that's what I'm saying. Like with Reed Shepherd, can he do some of those Steph Curry things? Sure, at a lower level, but is a team going to structure their entire offense for you to do it? Probably not. But if he gets into the right situation, they can run some off-ball screens for him coming off the bench, and he could light it up.
Yeah. So I'm not high on Reed Shepherd. We see. So that's our first big disagreement. And you don't want to take a bench player in the top 5, do you?
This is the kind of, I wouldn't take Alex Orr in the top 5 last year.
I feel you. All right, let's see who you got at number 5.
This guy number 5, I had him number 1, I think, last year. I've been looking at him. He has 2 parents that are both athletes. He's a 6'10" guy, 197 pounds, and over the past 3 months, his athleticism seemed like it's gotten that much better. I went to go see this guy in Indiana at All-Star Weekend at the rookie sophomore game, and he hit the game-winning shot over Brandon Miller. My next guy to finish out the top 5 is Matas Buzelis.
Now I'm with you on
G League Ignite. So I had him like number 1 for a good long time. Coming out of high school, he was like a jack of all trades, can do a little bit of everything. But when he got to the G League Ignite, he was playing with a team that didn't have a real point guard, a real distributor, that could really operate for everybody out there. The main person that had the ball was Ron Holland, who I'll talk about later. In there was Ron Holland, and he's not someone that's really a playmaker. He can get to the cup, but he wasn't distributing like that for him. So Matas was really having to get anything that he was going to get on his own, and that's not traditionally how he was playing before that. And also his 3-point shot kind of fell off a bit. And we've seen it in high school, but like I said, we're judging you based off what you did most recently. And that 3-point shot fell off and didn't come back the way that I seen from Risa Shea. So I put him in the top 5, but he has so many different skills. Like he looks like a Chandler Parsons, a Lamar Odom. There's a few other people that in that archetype. Somebody in that 6'9", 6'10" can kind of do a little bit of everything that you need him to on the court. And just depending on the situation that he goes to, he can help a team out a lot immediately.
I love that Lamar Odom shout out because Buzelis is one of the best ball handling bigs I've seen in a long time. So that reminds me of Lamar Odom. So great point. Yeah, he is my 4th ranked prospect. So we're aligned with that one. Can't wait to see where he gets drafted. I've been hearing him in the bottom 10. So I don't understand that, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
That 3-point shot.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that'll get better. And people got to remember in the G League, they're shooting from the NBA 3-point range. In college, they're not. So I think they should get a little leeway. And great point about the lack of dynamic point guard, to set him up how he needs to be set up. So great points all around. Number 6.
All right, coming out of the top five, this guy surprising. Like, I'm surprised he's not in my top five. I wouldn't be surprised if he's drafted top five. I've been hearing that of talks of him being drafted number one, coming from UConn off this championship, sophomore Donovan Clingan. He's a 20-year-old guy. He's 7'3", 282 pounds. He showed everything that he could do in his time there. He's a big guy. He can stretch. He can stretch just enough. He can hit you a little jump shot. He can play extreme. He can play very good defense. It's debatable who is the more of the reason why they won that championship. Was it Castle? Was it Clingan, the sophomore? But Clingan, he had some his mother died not to a couple of years ago, and he talked about while I was watching on the interview. That was another thing I was saying. Going back and watching guys in interviews, seeing how they talk, seeing what their relationship is with their teammates and how they train, things like that. And whenever I'm watching these videos of Donovan Clingan, like this is an adult. Like this is a young man that's going to be a very responsible, respectful guy that I can see him being in the NBA for a very long time. And anybody that drafts him, any GM that drafts him, is going to be glad that they did. Like I said, I have him at 6 right now, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's drafted a lot higher.
Yeah, there's been talks that the Hawks are very interested and possibly could take him at 1. I don't know if that's to set up a trade because other teams are interested. I know Memphis is very interested. So he is a big man that's highly sought after. In my opinion, I'm not that high on him. You don't want to know where I have him ranked, but I have him 22nd, Lucky. I think he is a victim of circumstance in a good way. I think he was set up very well, gifted a lot of baskets.
Mhm.
So he just seems like a good college center to me. At best, I think he'll be Ivica Zubac, a bottom 10 starting center.
Ooh.
But it's still a starting center, but he ain't never going to be special, I don't think.
I guess I don't like the Visa Zubac's comparison because Visa is like he's not a great defender. Clingan is defense.
Right,
Like
right. Offense, yeah, you're right about that. Offensively, Ivica Zubac. You're right.
that's like the only reason like I got stuff to say about Clingan is like this guy is he's a very high IQ defender, to where he puts people in the right positions, similar to where something like Dwight Howard would do while he was in his heyday winning MVPs. Is not only is he being the rim deterrent, he's putting you where you're supposed to be. Matter of fact, yeah, it wasn't Steph Castle. It's him. Like looking back at the film, he's putting Steph Castle where he's supposed to be, at times. But like, yeah, he's a very, very good defender. On offense, I don't know where he'll top out at offense, but as far as defense, he's there.
Do you worry about his weight? Because like I mentioned, Ivica Zubac, he's 7'1", 240.
Mm-hmm.
Klingon was at the combine 7'2", 280.
Mm-hmm.
Now he looked, like that defensive captain in college. He's
Yeah.
gonna have faster, more, athletic players in the NBA. Is he gonna be able to move his feet well with them? Because that's a issue guys like Luka Garza has had and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's a very good point. As far as him getting up and down the court, and especially with the NBA changing to these centers that are more looking like a Chet Holmgren or Alex Sarr, that they're just quick up and down the court, so those are quick transition buckets if he's not able to get some of that weight off, and especially like we're saying, those being offensively limited, that 280 pounds and backing him down into the basket, there we're not playing that way in the NBA, so he's going to have to make his money off of defense, and like you said right now, he's going to have to get in a lot better shape if he's going to be able to stay on the court.
Yeah, it'll work with half the league. You have Embiid and Joker that are bigger guys, and then you have the other half that are young and up and comers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Who do you have at number 7?
Number 7, I've had to go back and forth with him for a while. I wasn't a fan of him in the least. I texted you about him about 6 months ago or so, and he was projected to go number one, number two, number three is Nikola Topic or how do you pronounce that? Nikola Topic?
I think it's Topic.
Topic, yeah, Nikola Topic. So he recently had another injury. I think it was ACL or another knee injury recently, unfortunately. But so that is what took him out of the top five as far as where I feel like he's going to be drafted. And I put him at number seven. I don't see him going in the top five any longer. Something he can't shoot. He's not a shooter. You know, he can't shoot the three. And outside of that, it's like he's a great processor of the game. You know, for someone that's only 19 years old, and this is like some of the good things that he has, because like I looked at him earlier and I just kept seeing all the negatives, and I'm like, why is he a top five guy? Why is he, you know, I seen just red flags after red flags looking at him. But when I try to evaluate him for like, okay, somebody's seeing something good in him because he keeps being put in the top 10 in a lots of different places, and I don't see it at all. You know, so I try to zero in on those things. And this guy, for a 19-year-old, he has the mental processing speed of someone like a Luka Doncic. You know, at a very young age, he's able to process fast off of a pick and roll. It's like, okay, we can hit the corner, we can hit this wing, I can lay it up. It's like the split second, and his passes are on point. He cannot shoot that three. You know, so that's why it was keeping it out of the top five. But he's going to be able to run someone's offense very well, very efficiently, similar to a Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's but
I know you didn't want to say that.
But he processes the game faster. His passes maybe even a little bit better, but that's kind of what we're looking at though with Nikola Topic.
I had that thought as well, and I looked at film of Giddey, and you recall a conversation we had. I was not high on Giddey. I do like Topic better. His 3-point percentage is not great, but his form and shot is a lot better than Josh Giddey.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, his processing is great. I love his assist rate. You know, he's getting 6 assists per game. So that's going to be there. Everything else, I think he can lead a team. You know, I have him mocked to go number 8 to the Spurs. You know, I don't know if that'll change because of the injury or not. But I think he would fit well with Wembanyama. He's going to need an assist man at point guard as opposed to like a scoring first point guard, I would believe. Yeah. So I think that would work. And they're not going to win right away this year. So they could wait for him through that injury. But yeah, very nice, smooth guard. Not the fastest, but a very natural point guard. So, and the height. I mean, think about the height the Spurs could be putting out there on the court with him at point guard. That could be crazy. I have him at 15, and that was before the injury, but I could see how he would work for certain teams. Let's see, who do you have at number 8?
Number 8. So we're gonna speed through these next few people. So number 8 is he was the what conference is Tennessee even anymore? I was about to say all SEC, but is they even SEC anymore? But yeah, but well, he was he was the best player for the conference that he was in at Tennessee. You know, I can't remember what that is, but yeah, Dalton Connect, the 23-year-old, 6'6.5", 212-pound guard coming out of Tennessee. This guy can put it in the bucket. He can put it in a bucket. I mean, that's about all he's gonna put it in the bucket. He reminds me of like a Tyler Hero. He's not gonna defend all that well, but he's going to put it in the bucket, you know. So as for a top 10 guy, he's going to go top. He's going to go lottery for the simple fact that this guy gets buckets.
He does 22 points per game. I like his game, but I'm worried that he could just be one of those good college players. Then when you go to the NBA, it doesn't translate. Mm-hmm. But I was wrong about Jaime Jaquez in that aspect. Both 4-year players. So I do see a pathway where Connect could have success in the league, and 40% from 3, he should be fine. So I agree with you there, even though I have him ranked 21st, but it's all good. Next.
I got to find out who these players are.
Right, that I have so high.
What?
All right. I'll go through my 1 through 10. I'll just list them when you're done. So, and I want to hear your feedback. All right. Who do you have at 10?
So number nine, number
Okay.
nine. I had seen him through. He was the number one guy coming into last year. He was the number one projected guy before Alexander Sarr surpassed him. Ron Holland, Ron Holland from the G League Ignite, 6'7", 6'7" and a half, 197 pounds. This guy was averaging 22 points. Like he can get to the rack. Like he's not a shooter, but man, it's the number one thing that I take away from him is confidence. This man has supreme confidence. Like he reminds me of Benedict Mathurin. Like if y'all seen any of the videos where when he came into the NBA, he was like, "Yeah, LeBron got to show me I'm better than LeBron.
Yeah.
I'm better than this. I'm better than that." You'd be like, "Whoa, bro! Like what?" And then you watch him play, and then it's just like he plays with that kind of confidence. I seen him play at the All-Star game, the sophomore rookie sophomore type thing, and it's just the way he's sitting there talking to his peers. Like that's what I like to see. That's something that was made me high on Derek Lively from watching him play in the AAU. When he's the way that you talk to your peers and the way that you interact with your peers, and that's something that Ron Holland has in spades, or a Cam Whitmore. That kind of just ridiculous confidence to where you're going to come into the NBA and I don't care who you are or how old you are, he's going to go at you. Now, the reason why he's not in my top 5 anymore and barely in the top 10 is, yes, he can't shoot. He's not a good shooter. And not only is he not a good shooter, he's going to shoot him anyway. He's going to shoot them anyway. It's very reminiscent of he reminds me of a tall version of Russell Westbrook, but he's not a passer. Because Russell Westbrook, he's going to go 150 miles per hour from one end of the court to the next. There's not much shiftiness. It's just here and we gone. It's just like he's the opposite of what Nikola Topic is, what I was saying earlier. Like that processor is not happening on the court. He's not processing things, but he has the energy. And because of that energy, that works great on defense because he's giving it. He's out here bringing the energy on defense the same way that he's sitting here energizing Bunny and up and down the court on offense without really much thought. It doesn't seem like, because once he gets to the paint, and you could pass the ball to a wide open person, he's never doing it. But on defense, he stays in front of his man. He gives great supreme effort on defense. So if he can go to the right organization to where they have him lock in on defense, like man, he would be scary with the Miami Heat. But somewhere where he can lock in on defense and be that kind of role. But otherwise, you don't want to see him as like your lead ball handler, type of guy.
Yeah, he's my 5th ranked prospect, so I'm very high on him. But yeah, if he could shoot the ball, he would be a top 2 pick in this draft, probably guaranteed. At 18 years old, he has everything else: the offensive game, except for shooting, the defensive game, the explosiveness. He's a super athlete, but he just got to get that shot down. And for me, at 18 years old, the way the NBA has shooting coaches, I think that's something that should be able to increase. And then it's just a matter of want to at that point because his shot's not broken. So I would like to project him into that shooting. Some things you can't teach, but I think shooting you can.
I mean, we'll see with him. Like I'm not that's like I'm not a like, but I have him in my top 10. He's in the top 10 because
Right.
I see that he can, that something can, but like, and that defensive potential, that defense is there right now.
Yeah.
So if you get him out there, yeah, but yeah, he's top 10, Ron Holland.
Yeah. And if the offense doesn't come, you have guys like Herb Jones who are thriving right now in the league. So, and he's going to be paid a lot.
I'm gonna tell you, like the player that I want him to be, I sincerely would love for him to be Jalen McDaniels. Is it Jaden or Jalen? The one that plays in
From
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah. It's like someone that can lock in on D, and then when you need me to, like I shoot a shot, I get to the cup, those type of things. But like I don't want him being someone that's shooting the ball 15 times a game. But
Yeah.
that's
Definitely
who he
not
wants to
yet.
be
Yeah,
now.
he's not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And last but not least, who's number 10 on your list? I want to see a surprise now. Come on, throw something out of left
Now
field.
this ain't no surprise. It's not a real surprise. I got a few honorable mentions, but I think this right here maybe it's a toss up if he's the best point guard in this draft. Rob Dillingham from UK. The reasoning being he can shoot. He's a shooter. He can get hot. But the same reason that I was turned off by Reed Shepherd is the same reason I'm turned off by Rob Dillingham a bit, because when we got to the tournament, and it came down to do something, I need to go out. I need to see you go out there and leave the clip empty. Go out there. If you sitting there with 0 points in the second half, you better be 0 for 50. You know what I'm saying? You better be shooting them, you know. So I didn't see that killer instinct in Dillingham in the final game, but in so many instances when I'm watching, there's plenty of times where he's like has 4 points here, 6 points here, and the game's about to be over. Then within 3 minutes, this guy is just lighting them up. 3 minutes, he can score 15 points. Like he give it to you. But because of that, it's like I don't see him as a starting point guard for anybody. He's a 6'2.5" guy, 164 pounds. I see him as more of like a maybe come off the bench, maybe injury reserve type of point guard. But yeah, that's what I got.
I like Dillingham. You know, yeah, he is slight of frame. I think he was 175 during the season. But yeah, his handles are insane. They remind me of Stephon Marbury. And I just think he could, with that shooting at 44.5% from three, that's excellent. But yeah, I mean, he's got some things to work on. But you know, them Kentucky guards always get graded on a curve, and they end up playing better in the NBA. So hopefully that will happen for Robert Dillingham. I have him at 7. Let me tell you my top 10 real quick.
Oh, how is he at 7 and Reed Shepherd is at 20 something? They the same what?
No, Reed Handle don't have handles. He's not a point guard. Robert Dillingham is a point guard, more dynamic. All that, yes.
Okay.
All right. First of all, my number one player is not on your list. Isaiah Collier is the number one player in this draft class.
Hold on. So what you think you're not, so you don't believe anyone's going to draft him number one. You're just saying that if we look back on this 10 years from now, this would have been the best player from the draft.
Yes.
Okay, I still disagree, but it makes more sense.
I love that. Okay. Yeah, just straight best players in this draft. Isaiah Collier, number 1. Alex Sarr, number 2. Cody Williams, number 3. I think his future's bright. Matas Bucelis, 4. Ron Holland, 5. Tyler Smith from the G League, 6. Big on him. Robert Dillingham. Khalil Ware at 8. I think he's being slept on. Zachary Ricochet at 9. And Terrence Shannon at 10.
I'm not familiar with Terrence Shannon.
Check him out. He was low in the rankings because he was accused of rape, but he just recently got cleared of that innocent on all charges. So,
okay, no, yeah. I did heard about that today.
Very talented shooting guard. So
now with Tyler Smith, I want to ask you. So I've been researching him for the past about 2 months now. He's a G League Ignite guy too, and he reminds me he's on my list. He's in my my wild card honorable mentions. Now he reminds me of a Christian Wood. And that's why I couldn't really put him. And I think a lot of like our fundamental differences on how we look at players are a bit different. Like I love a defensive player, and if you can't play defense, like you ain't gonna be on my list. And you love the offensive player, like Tyler Smith. He is offense, all the offense. You know what I'm saying? Like all of it, and none. Like he can't. Man, his defense is so bad. You know, it was just like he don't seem like he cares about it. Like he's just but Cam Whitmore, I felt the same way. But like now, if you didn't take Cam Whitmore, it's like, what was you doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know.
It's gonna cut off, but I'm gonna add you back on, okay? And I'll piece together the 2 pods.
All
right. Let's see, it should cut off any minute now. We'll get back to, remember, we're on Tyler.
All right. So yeah, Tyler Smith, like I've been looking at him for the past couple months. He's out of the G League Ignite, you know, so seeing Ron Holland and seeing Buzelis, you're seeing Tyler Smith there too. But my only issue was the defense, you know, because like I said, he reminded me of Christian Wood. He's a tall guy. He can stretch the floor. Like he can shoot. He basically, like, he has a crazy package. Like he can do a lot of stuff, you know, but what he can't do, he's not a passer, and, you know, and he's not a defender. But those two things is just like, it's just tough for me. So it's like, are you going to be a 6-man or what am I looking at him to be?
Right. Well, offensively, like you mentioned, the offense is there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's a left-hander, but he's a super athlete, dunks everything in sight. I love his film. Very exciting player. It's not that many exciting players in this draft. He was one of the top 3 exciting players. And he can shoot the 3-point shot, so he can stretch the court. As far as defense, definitely not an assist because he's only getting 1 assist per game. But as far as
Yeah.
defense, he's getting 1 block per game. You want to see that higher for a 6'11" big
Mm,
man, but he is still a great shot blocker when he's in the right position. Now we
mm,
know the G League Ignite program got shut down. I think it's for various reasons, but I don't know if he was fully able to excel in his game the way he should. They had a lot of guys going for theirs, and I don't know if the coaching was right. I don't know. We'll have to
mm.
see him in a different situation, and a team's going to have to, do their evaluation and all that good stuff on defense. But he does move his feet very well, and he definitely has the height and athleticism on offense that he should be able to put into his defense. But yeah, that is going to be a little bit of projecting. But and then we say he had 1 steal, 1 block per game. He only played 22 minutes per game as well. So if
Yep.
he played 30, maybe that would be 2 blocks and it would look a little better. So I think he's a very not raw because the offensive game is there.
Oh
I
yeah.
think, but still young enough to where we haven't seen the best of Tyler Smith yet. And I think with
Mm.
that athleticism, it could be scary. To me, he reminds me of John Collins, but taller, longer, better
Better
shooting
shooter.
John Collins. So I think, John Collins was a top 5 pick, I believe. If not, he was still a prize possession. And Christian Wood was pretty good earlier in the league, but that athleticism is not there for Christian Wood anymore.
No.
But that's what I see in Tyler Smith. And especially like you said, in this draft class, I'm looking for all-star type of talent.
Upside. Mm.
Yeah, upside. There you go.
So that's what's bring me to this Isaiah Collier. So like my basically anytime that I'm questioning someone, it's about defense, or shooting. Those are always my two things. It's like if you're shooting and defense. And with Isaiah Collier, he can shoot, but the main thing that I liked about him when because I was evaluating Bronny James, a lot of the year. And the main thing that I saw with him is like this man he can get 2 feet into the paint. It's like if he's like a bulldog to where it's just like you can't stop him from getting to his spot, into the paint. So it's like I like Isaiah Collier a lot for, the thing that he does on offense and runs in offense and things like that. But I'm like, when I'm projecting him out into the NBA, I'm like, who is he guarding? It's like, do I got a Trae Young situation, to where it's just like I'm just defending with 4 people, like that's my only issue with him.
Well, size wise, he's 6'4", around 6'3.5", 6'4",
Mm-hmm.
205. So we mentioned Dillingham was around 170. Collier's 205 and still lightning fast. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's just to me, I don't know if it's effort. I don't know what, USC was not a good team at all. So, I think a lot of players did not look as good as they could have. And Collier still looked good out there for the
Yeah,
most part.
yeah.
But a lot of times when you're on a bad team and you're the number one guy, I know that effort doesn't go fully there. Like I've been in that situation. It's like
Mhm.
we're about to lose this game anyway. I'm not about to kill myself on defense like James Harden that time. When
Mhm.
he's doing all the offensive things, he didn't even try on defense. So do we really know what all Isaiah Collier could do? I don't know. But I know on offense, he reminds me of John Wall. So,
Okay. Yep.
so for me, I'm like, the defense can't be that bad. And even if it is, say it's a Steph Curry, Trae Young situation, you got to bring in a elite defender at the 2 guard. But I don't think he's going to be anything like Steph or Trae Young. I don't think.
That's why I have him so low because I'm like, unless your offense is gonna be so good to where like we have to compensate for it, like you're saying, like with a Trae Young, like with a Steph Curry, to where we'll just deal with it, to where we'll find someone to make up for your lack of defense, and I'm not even saying lack of defense like you're not trying to play defense, that's not what I'm talking about. Because I'm just saying that we have someone that if you're under 6'5" in the NBA now, especially when you get into the playoffs is switching and matchmaking and hunting. Like you're being targeted and hunted, not because you're a bad defender, not because you're giving a bad effort. Sometimes it is, but because if you're under 6'5", it's because we can shoot over you. That it's that much easier to shoot over someone that's under 6'5". So I'm like, is he going to be good enough on offense? To the fact that I'm just going to have people shooting over him all game, every game, and especially in the playoffs, to where it's just like you got to give me 30 points. If you can't defend anybody. But like if he can be that person, if he can be someone that's generating 30 points, 25 points a night, then yeah, I'll rock with that.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just not worried about the sizes factor because, it's a lot of smaller point guards that are thriving, like Brunson, Garland. They're all around 6'1". So him
Brunson.
being close to 6'4", I think the size, I don't think he's going to get bullied with his size as far as height, and definitely not with his weight because he's NBA ready body from day one in college. So it's definitely going to be interesting, but I love your point of view while you bringing up other issues like defense and how those things will translate. So I love seeing the different perspectives. So it's always a great conversation. Did you have any more honorable mention?
I think we talked about. Oh no, we didn't. My honorable mention is a 7 footer out of Duke University, Kyle Filipowski. Um, so he like when like I said, the NBA you're looking for certain things. Like this guy is 7 foot tall. I mean he's 7 feet. That's the number one thing. And then as far as like IQ, he has great NBA IQ. He knows where to be on offense and on defense. Now, can he guard his man on defense? He's so light in the butt, like he gets pushed under the rim. What's my guy from NC State? Like he showed it like
Burns,
very.
yeah,
Yeah,
Burns.
Burns. Yeah, it's just like I don't know if Burns probably won't be drafted. He'll go undrafted. But he showed like that he just pushed him up under the basket. So I mean that's something he's gonna have to work on. But you put him out there as coming off your bench unit, somebody like Kyle Filipowski at 7 foot tall that can pass the way that he passes and that has a decent jump shot. That's a good person that you want to have in your organization. So someone's going to draft him in the top 20, most definitely.
Top 20. He's my 33rd ranked player. I have him projected going 30th to Boston. I think that would be a good fit. But yeah, you can't come from talking about defense and then go to Kyle Filipowski. Got abused.
That's why he ain't in my top 10. I was like, he
Okay.
go 20. He go
I feel
20.
you on that. 20 is okay, is allowable. I'm with you on that. That's
Because I'm
funny.
like, because like I got like Dr. Connect, I had him in there, but I'm like, that's because I believe you can go get 25. Like if there's a player that I believe in the NBA, you can give me 25. Not saying that he's going to average 25, but I'm saying like when you have the ability to give me
Hmm.
25 a night, then I can overlook some of that defensive stuff,
Right.
But Kyle Filipowski, he's not giving you 25, but he's a 7 foot guy that can do things on offense. Yeah.
Okay, now that's interesting to me that you bring him up, the 7 foot aspect. So I have to throw one more guy out there. I know you have an opinion on this guy, probably the most polarizing prospect in all of college basketball, Zach
Ooh,
Edey, the
okay.
7'4", 300-pound big man from Purdue. But he weighs that he carries that 300 pounds well. So you think 300 pounds, you think, chubby, obese, like DJ Burns, but no, he's kind of rock solid. Average 25 and 12 with 2 blocks. He's got all the stats that you would want to be the number one player in the draft. How do you feel about Zach Edey? Because I have him ranked 18th, but rankings or not, how do you think he would translate to the NBA?
Like maybe he goes first round. Like as far as because it's like the same things we talked about with Donovan and Clingan. Like those are the issues that I have with him. But like how are you getting up and down the court? You're a big guy in today's NBA, and why I have Clingan in the top 10 is because he can play defense. He can organize your defense. He's a very good defender. Zach Edey is not a great defender. He's a great body. He's a great presence. He's a big person,
Yeah.
in that area, but he's not like someone that's thinking the game with a great defensive IQ in the way that a Klingon is. And as far as offense, I'm all the way off. I'm all the way off on him on offense. Like I've watched him play a number of games, and they're force feeding him the ball, down up under the paint, and it's like I'm not seeing like even when we're watching early Shaquille O'Neal, to where it's like okay, you being force fed up into the paint, but you got counters, like you can hit somebody with something about like footwork. Like Zach Edey ain't doing none of that. It's just like he's putting you up under the basket and then dumping it in there, and it's like that is worth something. That's worth something, but for me, it's like I can't. I just don't know how that's going to work in today's NBA. When like I said, we got Chet Holmgren and Alex Sarr and all these type of people like just flying past you up and down the court.
That's a good point. I think he did move well for his size. You
Mhm.
know, and I don't think he's stiff and awkward like a Taco Fall was. Like Taco couldn't play in the league at all. I think Zach Edey
No.
will at least be able to play 15 minutes per game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get your point on the post moves. He definitely needs more. But I remember he was possible of coming out last year, and I was like, absolutely not. He had nothing last year. He did have a little baby hook shot this year,
Yes.
and he hit a
Yes.
spin every now and then. So I was like, I see some progression in this game. We will see if that elevates in the NBA. But yeah, I see it where it could go either way.
You know that's a great point. Like he did add that spin. I didn't watch him a lot in this first year, but he telegraphed that spin so much that when Klingon played him, he just waited. He sat on him for the spin.
Yeah,
You know, it's like he was
yeah.
doing that spin hook over and over right around the when he got towards the free throw line. You know, bringing it in. But yeah, man, like yeah, he but to your point, he didn't have that initially, and he added that to his game. You know, so once he adds another thing or just counters off of that, you know, because he could counter off that a bit. But yeah, he might be able to add more for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and just it might be situational, like you said. He's not gonna keep up with Chet, but I do think the success of Wemby at 7'4", teams are not gonna be as scared to draft Zach Edey because they're like, oh, we've seen one guy do it, even though they are completely different. But in the past, I would have never drafted a 7'4" in the top 20, and I
Yeah,
think Edey might be worth the risk around 18 to 25. So we'll
man,
see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I, I got
So.
a I
Hmm?
got a guy that I think you might have had him in your top 10. I had him right outside of my top 10. I want to kind of talk about. Did you have Cody Williams in your top 10?
Oh yeah. He's my number three prospect. Yep.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah. I love
Okay.
him. I think he's raw, but
Mhm.
raw already good offensively as well. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what he can become. Like the ceiling is just astronomical for Cody Williams. And I think he has the shooting talent, the size, the length, everything you want to be a successful player. You know, his brother was slept on, but he rose in the draft combine process. I thought Cody would do the same thing because I think he's better than what he displayed at Colorado, but I think somebody's going to get a steal with him.
So I had him I had him ranked in my top 5 pretty early, and I was like, why are people not seeing this? Like he got
Yeah.
because at the time when I was looking at it, Jalen Williams hadn't really started. People weren't talking about him like that. They weren't in the playoffs. Like he wasn't. It wasn't popping like that, you know. But then getting closer to the playoffs, then people started noticing his brother. Like, oh, they're brothers. He's about to be drafted. Yada yada. But what I was noticing and watching Cody Williams play, so I kind of see him a bit differently. I think that his floor is extremely high. You know what I'm saying? There's like his bust potential is almost nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's tall, he's long, he can get to the floor, he can get to the cup, he can shoot. You know,
He
it's
can
like he
shoot.
has so many different skills. Like his floor is so extremely high. But the thing that I've gone back to where like people that I wasn't necessarily right about before, I had to go look at like how do you interview? How are you speaking to people? You know, what is that intangible stuff? And then how do you relate to your peers? The way that he relates to his peers, when I see Jalen Williams and the way he relates to his peers, that's a dog. That is a dog. When I see Cody Williams and the way that he relates to his peers, it is not that. He don't have that dog in him. I have not seen no dog. I watched now to this point. I only watched him play 5 full games from the beginning to the end. Everything else is just highlights and here and there or whatever. But and he does what is asked of him to do. He does what, like if the coach says, like, hey, you got this mismatch, I need you to be driving, or
Right.
I need you to guard the best player, or I need you to sit in the corner. You know, like he's a guy he's coachable, extremely coachable. You know, to whatever you need him to go do, he's gonna go out here and do it. But I have not seen the characteristic that dog that is just like, I'm gonna go do something. I ain't waiting for the coach to say something. Like they could be down 15, and if coach told him to sit in the corner, he just gonna do that for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And when they got put out of the tournament, he was 1 for 3 or 1 for 2, like something bad. To where I was like, man, like you can't just sit in that corner all game. I don't care what the game plan is. Like, but like I said, he's still in my your lottery area because, like I said, that floor, like he plays defense, he can shoot, he can do everything. That floor is so high. He's not gonna be a bust. He's not.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you make. That is mentality. You don't know if, sometimes he's probably 18, 19 at Colorado. And some people, it's just the way you're raised. You raised in a good family. You listen to your coach. You have other players that are like, my coach don't know what he's talking about. I'm the guy. So that could go either way. But yeah, I definitely think in the NBA, he's going to get a better coach that should get the most out of him. And he has all the skill and possibility. I'm not comparing him to this guy, but I see that he should be successful the way Brandon Miller was. Brandon Miller definitely had the dog though, but I could see him progressing into a Brandon Miller type. He has that body, the frame, the shooting, and he just has to get in the right situation.
I thought you were going to say something. I don't see the Brandon Miller because like Brandon Miller is a volume shooter in college, and Cody Miller was not. Like he's averaging like 2 3 pointers a game. Like he's not shooting a lot. He's shooting over 40%, but he's not a volume shooter. So that lets me know like when he gets into the NBA, he's probably not going to be a volume shooter. But someone even better than him that I thought you were going to go towards was Kawhi Leonard. Someone that comes into the NBA with that length to where if you could put some muscle on those arms, where Kawhi Leonard put some strength on him to where and play defense, strap in on defense, and then hit your open shots. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because Kawhi Leonard didn't come to the Spurs out here shooting the ball 15 to 17 times a game. He's shooting the ball 7 times a game, 8 times a game. Strap in on defense, hit these open shots, and we give it to you. Like I would love to see him developed in that way. For sure.
That's a really high bar there. I'm not jumping to Kawhi Leonard, but yeah, I get your point. But that's why I say that I feel he's kind of raw because I do think he's been limited, and it's been talked that a lot of those guys in Colorado were limited. If this is him, then he's going to be more like Harrison Barnes. But if he is allowed to open this game up, it could be blossoming into a star that no one is expecting. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, let's get into, we are both from well, you really from Georgia, but I'm going to call you a North Carolina boy.
I'm from Georgia.
Oh yeah, Brandon from Georgia. I'm trying to throw you in there.
I went to school in North Carolina. I was born here.
My bad.
I got a UNC Charlotte shirt on. Yeah. I got the Hornets stuff everywhere. Like, I'm gonna put that on me.
We're gonna edit that out. Brandon just slipped in my head, but we're talking about Brandon Miller. So I got Brandon, our old roommate, in my head. Anyway, we Carolina boys. So we with the Hornets. Who do you think would be a great fit for the Hornets at pick number 7? Number 6.
Pick number 6. So the same, like I'm standing on that same stuff, man. It's like number 1, I would love a tall person that can shoot, similar to where we had Brandon Miller last year. The NBA is like we're shooting 3-pointers, So if I would love to have a tall person shooting threes. That's my number 1 thing. I would love to have that. But if I can't have a tall person shooting threes, I'll just take someone shooting threes, And if I can't have that, then I'll take the biggest alpha dog leader, culture shift person that I can possibly get. And so I believe that at 6, the person that will be available, hopefully, is Stephon Castle, that I'm hoping that the Charlotte Hornets are going to be able to draft. Reason being is, like I said, this guy is locks in on defense. We got LaMelo Ball playing 1. We got Steph Castle playing his natural position that we watch him play all year with the 2, beside a point guard, and playing beside LaMelo at 2 guard. So he can actually guard. He could be the point of attack defender, defending any of their best point guards or shooting guard, whoever's getting off, and let LaMelo, do his facilitating and his scoring. So, and on top of that, like I said, he's the type of a dog that he's sitting there, he's talking on defense. He's talking in the huddle. He's a leader, similar to where like Grant Williams that we just got from the Mavericks by way of the Celtics. He's someone that's going to be a mature guy, and we need that bad.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick. I don't mind that pick. This draft is weird, because you're not guaranteed to get a top 6 type of player. You could just be getting a guy that can fit in. So yeah. We know that Castle could potentially be a lot better than he was in college. So I wouldn't be mad at it. And I do feel shooting guard and power forward are weak spots. Yes. So we definitely should get one of those positions. I don't know how to feel about Mark Williams. There's talk that they want Klingon, because Mark Williams, just because of his back, not because of his game. Just is he going to recover from the back? Is that going to be lingering? I don't know. But I've heard Klingon could be in play for 6. So
Why?
I like
Yeah.
Mark Williams, but you know,
No, I mean, but so who did that back then? The Nuggets drafted Nurkic and Jokic at the
yeah,
same
yeah,
time, and
mm-hmm.
then we'll just whoever's good we'll keep. You know what I'm saying?
They'll
So
do
like,
that.
yeah, draft Klingon, let him and Mark play at the same time. Take Nick Richards and trade him. Like, yeah, like I ain't mad at that.
Okay, okay. So Charlotte, do you think they should keep the pick or try to trade it?
Try to trade it if someone is willing to give you some future draft assets or something that we could possibly use here in Charlotte, then definitely trade it. If you can trade it, definitely do trade down. Not
And
don't
if
trade
you
up.
do, this will be the year to do it if you're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause, like you can still you might get Cody Wood. Like there's so many like in this top 10 or so, there's so much talent in the top 10. So
yeah,
where they talk about they ain't no talent in this draft, like 5 to 10 years from now, we're gonna look back and see so many players that had like 10-year NBA careers come out of this draft, like straight up. So
definitely. It's not a lot of all-star talent, like face value all-star talent, but as far as real talent, you can go 40, 50 deep in this draft with players that should be able to have a consistent role. It's a lot of great three-point shooters in this class, a lot of tall players, that long range defensive type player. So the draft is good. It's just not sexy. You know what I mean?
yep.
Yep, yep, yep. So is there any other points you want to hit on before you get out of here? I've kept you longer than I should have, but it's been a great talk.
So yeah, this guy right here, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Like I've been hearing his name pronounced weirdly. It's either Tijan Salon or Tijane Salon. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I like the first one better. That was better.
Tijan Salon. Yeah. So 6'9" guy out of France. So I've been looking at him. The only reason I've looked at him is because like I've been seeing him projected, in the lottery from a lot of different places. But the film that I've seen on it is like he seems like a very raw prospect that seems like he's there because he's 6'9". But is that someone that you had in your lottery area at all?
I have him ranked 20th, and he was a hard eval because he only scored 9 points per game and not much else.
Yeah.
Average 3-point shooter. They love that he's 6'9", 18 years old, and the wingspan. Uh, nice handle. I think the French thing is kind of taking over the NBA, with Victor, and then you have
Yeah.
Bilal. So now you have
Yeah.
Dijon. I don't see him as a lottery guy, but I think he's gonna go because the way they've been talking about him.
Yeah.
But to me, very aggressive forward, nice handle, great form on his shot, and it's a high release, a little unorthodox, but coaching, all that, da da da. But I think he
Yeah.
can feel like the Michael Porter Jr. type of role that he plays in Denver. So a lot of teams want the tall lineup like Denver has with MPJ and Aaron Gordon and Jokic. That's hard to go up against. So you throw another 6'9" guy in there that should be 6'6", according to, how the league traditionally is. So you have a 6'9" man. I think that's the way the league is trying to go. I
Definitely.
wouldn't sneeze at OKC taking him at 12, just having a taller, bigger lineup.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I can't
But
wait to
his
see it.
floor is Pat Baldwin Jr., who's not getting any minutes in the NBA. But his ceiling is probably Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully Michael Porter Jr. Because like that his shot seems iffy. Michael Porter Jr. was out there lighting nets on fire when he came in.
Right.
We'll
So
see.
yeah, at 18, it's a lot of 18, 19-year-olds in this draft. They're not fully reached their potential. So I think a lot of teams that might be thinking they're gonna get better this year, it's not necessarily gonna happen this year. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think we'll see. I think we'll see more players in the G League come out of this draft than we've seen before. Like I said, a lot of these people are young. They're 18, 19 years old, and we're going to see more players in the lottery play G League and players like in the first round play G League than we've ever seen before. I think this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Anyone else you want to hit on?
Nah, man, we knocked it out. I mean,
I
we
think
we
so.
got it in.
Great being on with you again. Vonzell Luckey at the Vons on Twitter/X. Any last words before we get out of here?
Nah, check me out. Come check me out on Twitter. Like I said, it's VON underscore VONZ. Shoot, I said it earlier. Look at the very beginning of the video and check it
The
out. Same
Vons.
on Twitter. Yeah, yeah.
We got a lot going on, guys, but we'll be back on again. If not before the draft, after the draft. Always great talking to you, Lucky. Until next time, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.